Hello. Okay, so will be the day two of Docker. So in day one or day three, you can consider. Okay, in day one, we almost see the theory of the Docker. Okay, day two, we just try to demonstrate the Docker. And today also we'll do the same. Okay, so it will be the completely hands-on. If you will see here, I have already installed the Docker in the EC2 instance, and I have opened several ports in this EC2 instance. Okay, here if you'll see this security group, I have opened multiple ports in this EC2 instance. Fine. So what we'll do, let's create one my app. I'll create one directory, my app. Here I'll just give a quick demo of the Docker file first, and then we'll talk about the Docker Compose as well. Okay, so let me app.py and Docker file. Question: can I change this Docker file to something like my Docker file or something like that? So yes, you can do that, but you have to mention it specifically, okay, while building the image. Okay, so I'll not do it right now. I'll just keep it Docker file. I will just see, I'll just write hello from the Docker. Fine. So this is my application, hello from the Docker. And this time I'll just write the Docker file. Here in the line 1, first we will you will see several terms in the Docker file, from work dir, copy, cmd, entry point, everything. Okay, so what I'll do, I will just start from. Okay, what it will do, it will take the default image. Okay, image, or the you can consider the OS where my Docker will run. Okay, I need Python. Okay, in my image I need Python, let's say sleep. This is the Python. Okay, I need the Python image. Inside image, the working directory should be app. Okay, or everything will be inside this directory. Each and everything will be copied inside this directory. Can I change the name? Yes. You can keep it code, you can keep it my app, you can keep it anything you want. I'll keep app. Then whatever is there in my current directory, what other things are there? App, app.py and Docker file. Everything should be copied to another, that app folder. Everything should be copied to app folder. And then finally cmd, command line. What should be the command line? I'll just write Python and app.py, because my application name is app.py. Instead of cmd, you can write entry point as well. Okay, but here we'll be choosing only cmd for now. What I'll do, done. My Docker file is ready. My app.py is also ready. Fine. So what I'll do now, docker build tag my my app. Okay, then it will build a image of my app. consider everything inside this application. And here you can see everything is created. Every image is created. Docker images. Here you can see my app latest 9 seconds ago. So Docker is created. Docker file, Docker build is it's build the application. Fine. And then Docker run my app. And we got it. Hello from the Docker. Make sense? Now, if I'll see Docker PS, none of the images, none of the container is running. Why? Because once this app, it's done, it's gone. Okay. The same way we can use Docker Compose also. docker-compose.yml. Okay. In real time, let's say instead of one container, we'll be having multiple containers. And if I want to run those container at a time, okay, at that time I'll be using Docker Compose. Docker Compose dot YAML. Can I change the name? Yes, but you have to add the extra flag while building it. Now, Docker Compose. How the Docker Compose file should look like. Okay, how the Docker Compose file should look like. So services, here I'll write the application name. I can write whatever the name you want. Then we do have the Docker file. Okay, there we have already mentioned everything. There we have already mentioned everything, how to build it. So build this. Okay, and let's say the container name, I will keep it as a Python app. Okay, here we have the Docker file. In ideal scenario, we'll be having the Docker file because that will only build my image. Okay, my recipe. Now I have the Docker file, I have the app.py, I have the Docker Compose as well. What I have to do, Docker Compose up. Just a second. A runtime error. Okay, so actually there was nothing wrong with our Docker Compose file. Actually, the binary was broken. I was using the EC2 instance from a long time, so that Docker Compose binary was broken, and I have reinstalled it. Okay, fine. So what I'll do, I'll just Docker ps. I do not have any image currently. What I'll do, Docker Compose up. That's it. I do not have to build anything. That build command is already inside my Docker Compose file. Simple. This Docker Compose up will up if there is one container, it will up the one container. If there will be two container, it will make up the two container. And here you will see container is created and hello from Docker. Fine. So in that way, you will use the Docker Compose file. Fine. So this is my one application. What I'll do, let me create another application and I will host it. Okay, so this is the Python application. What I'll do, let's create one Flask application or index.html application. Let's do it. Okay, so you saw one application and we were having Docker file there, application app.py is there, Docker Compose is also there. Okay, Docker Compose is to run the multiple container. That's it. What I'll do, I will quickly show you the demo for the HTML application. So what I'm going to do, I will host one HTML application in the container. How to do that? I will just quickly mkdir HTML app. Okay, I will go inside the application. Here I do not have anything. I need two files. First is index.html file and second is docker file. Okay, now you'll see docker file is also there, index.html file is also there. Let me copy the index.html code here. I might be having here, this is the index.html file. Paste it anyway. Index.html file is ready, and now it's time to create the docker file. So we already know the first and foremost line will be from that image. Here you, what will be the web server you want? So I need, let's say, Nginx. You can use Apache as well. You can use what Tomcat or whatever you want. Okay, I'll be using Nginx. That will be latest. What it will do, it will use the official Nginx image. Okay, second, I will copy my index.html code where inside the container. This will be the, if it's Nginx, it will be inside this folder html/index.html. Then if it's a web application, we have to expose one port, and that is port 80, and make sure your port 80 in the security group should also be open. And then we need CMD. First is Nginx. I want to run it in the foreground. Okay, what does it mean? It means it will not stop the container immediately. It will run in the foreground. It will not run in the background. Along with that, daemon is off. Okay, now, so this is what our Docker file will look like. Okay, this is what our Docker file will look like. What I'll do, I will Docker build. The tag I will give is my HTML app, and then use everything inside. Okay, so it's pulling the image from the Nginx latest, and then it's copying the index.html there inside the container, and then it's running. Okay, and remove intermediate container. Successfully built. If I'll see the images, my HTML app is ready just few seconds ago. Okay, Nginx is also downloaded. Now, Docker PS, currently nothing is running. So what I'll do, Docker run in a detach mode. Okay, and here will be doing the port binding. Okay, here we'll be doing the port binding. HTML, I'll give it the name as HTML app container or container, and what image it will be using. Just a second. Docker images. Docker run in a detached mode. I will do it like this. Port binding. Name will be HTML container and my HTML app. This is the image we were using. And if I'll run it, so now Docker PSC file, see this container is running. HTML container is running. Now what I'll do, we did the port binding. AT. And so here it's a next gen IT solutions. This is the index, nothing but index.html file. Okay, this is the nothing but index.html file we have hosted inside the container. Fine. Let's try to demonstrate another application. Let's try to demonstrate one more application. What I'll do, I'll just, so one my app, that is nothing but a Python application we have already hosted. Another is HTML app, just now we have hosted, and now it's time to, let's say, Docker Compose, mkdir Docker Compose demo. Okay, now here also we'll be having two things. Okay, here also I'll be writing two things. So this Docker Compose demo will be without Dockerfile. Okay, so let's store touch app.py. Okay, and app.py, I'll just use my already having Flask application here. Okay, I'm importing Redis, I'm importing Flask. Okay, Redis is nothing but the database. Okay, this is the port which is for the internal communication. Here we will be having, remember, we'll be having two containers. One which will be running our application, one which will be running our database. Okay, and it will show welcome to the site and site visited this many times. Okay, I'm not in Python, so I have uh, uh, take the reference from the from the ChatGPT for this application. Fine. So my application is ready, and this time I'll not write Python. I'll not write Docker file. I will be writing Docker Compose file directly. Touch docker compose.yml. Okay, to save some time, what I did, I have already have the Docker file here, Docker Compose file here, and I'll tell you this line by line. Fine. So first is this version 3.8. Okay, this is the current version of Docker. I guess 3.9 is also there. This is the current version of Docker Compose. Services. Here we'll be having two application. One here application. Here we will be having two. In services we'll be having two services. One is app, one is Redis. Okay, app, here it will run the Python app. app.py we have, right? So Python we are using image 3 Python image 3.9 version 3.9. Working directory is this. Okay, now make sure this is volume. This my everything, my every content will be copied inside this application. Now why we do need volume? The reason is I'm not cooking my own image. Okay, I'm not cooking my own image, just considering this way. So I have created one EC2 instance. I have installed everything what I need, and then I created one image. That is my image. Okay, I have cooked my own image, but this time I'm not cooking the image. Okay, I do not have the Docker file for that. Then I have installed the Flask, I have installed the Redis. Okay, and then I ran python app.py. Okay, here the port 5000 we are using, and this will be depends on Redis. Okay, I know Docker Compose will be a little bit tricky, but as we said, we are majorly focusing on infrastructure. Fine. So two containers are there, Redis and this Python image. Both are ready. Both are ready. And now what I'll do, Docker Compose up. Okay, everything I have mentioned there. Everything I have mentioned there. So I just have to run this command. No need to run any other command. I just said up, it will run the Redis and app. Here you can see app is also running, Redis is also running. It's installing everything. I would have ran it in the background. This environment is development server. Do not use it in production deployment. Okay, so it's running now. If you remember, we are running it in the port 5000. If I'll come here, 5000. This copy. If I'm refreshing it, the site is visited 17 times, 18 times, 19 times, 20 times. Now copy it in the incognito tab 28 times. Okay, 33, 34 times. I'll take it again 35 times. This counter where it is getting saved, it is getting saved in the Redis. Okay, and in this way we are using we are using containers. So we have two containers here. Here we are having two containers in this EC2 instance. Till now I have hosted multiple containers and two containers are already running. Okay, so in that way you can use the EC2 instance. I'm stopping the container, and once I'll stop the container, see this container is stopped. Docker ps, only one HTML container is running. It's gone. You'll not able to see it. But if I'll come here and if I'll just try to run this, it's already running. Docker Compose up in the detach mode. And if I will try to see now why it's still saving it, because we just stopped the container. Okay, we just stopped the container and the database was already there. So database was tracking our save database is saving our data. Okay, this counter. It's just like you can consider EC2 use stopped. Okay, but the database is still there. Okay, so whatever the things are in the volume, it's still there. So in that way, you can think of. Fine. Docker ps docker ps -q. See, 3 images are running. Containers are running. Fine. If I'll stop these containers, I'm not sure about the docker container prune command. So this prune command will remove all the stopped container, not the running container. Okay, deleted one container. Docker stop 5 AEC. Okay, Docker stop A7 FA. Docker stop 5731. Okay, and now if I'll run docker ps, there's nothing, no container is running. If I want to see the stopped container, here are the stopped container. Docker container prune. Here it will remove all the stopped container, and now we have reclaimed the 14 MB. Here Docker images are there. So these all are the images of Docker. If I want to Docker RMI my app, it's deleted. Okay, Docker RMI BCD3, it's also gone. Okay, so in this way you can remove the images. If you remove the image, you have to build the code again. Okay, so that's all for the Docker and Docker file and Docker demo. Docker Compose. What is Docker Compose file? It's to up the multiple containers together. What is Docker file? Docker file is nothing but it's a recipe book which will cook our images. Fine. And container is the running instance of those images. So that's all is about Docker. Now, why the Kubernetes is coming into the picture? We have Docker, we are hosting the application running fine, but what if this container get crashed? What if there's some issue with the images? What if I want to scale the containers as per the need? At that time, container orchestration, that is nothing but a Kubernetes, is needed. Instead of Kubernetes, you can use Docker Swarm as well. Okay, so Docker is nothing but it's hosting the container, and Kubernetes is managing those containers. Okay, so that we will see in a next video.